Welcome everyone, we now begin our basics guide for Fahkumram. I've wanted to do this for some time, but just like with most of the community, I expected that he would get a few patch adjustments and wanted to wait. Now that Season 4 is out, so reminder, we're on version 4.01 now, it feels like Fahk is in a good spot. He's not nearly as oppressive as when he first released, but he's still a very strong character, just now he has more weaknesses. It's actually very similar to how Leroy has developed. Regardless, for this first part, we'll go over his essential moves, then in part 2, we'll talk strategy, then finally in part 3, we'll discuss some referential items like punishers and juggles and cap it off with a summary. As always, there's a written version of this guide if you need it or want to save it. Link is in the video description below. That's it, let's talk about some essential moves. Part of the core of Fahk's game revolves around strings, so we'll discuss full string options in part 2 when we talk more about strategy, but some quick notes for now. First, the single one jab string. 1-1 is your safe NCC high mid option. If just the second hit is counter hit, you get a free forward 1+2. 1-2-1 and 1-2-4 will be your string paths for cover and pressure. The first is an unsafe high mid, and the second is a safe high. The 2 string has literally the exact same options as 1-2-4, just minus that first jab. 2 is I-12 instead of I-10, so a little slower, but still useful in giving your opponent more to think about. Standing 3 by itself is a great long-range mid-poke. It's -6 on block, but the string options give back a lot of that disadvantage. 3-1 is your safe mid-high option. 3-4 is your unsafe mid-mid check. Both paths can continue on, but again, we'll discuss those later. Just make note that if you catch your opponent slipping, you'll get a good reward. The 4 string has again the exact same options as 1-2-4 and 2-4, but cutting out the jabs entirely. I-12 high, just like the 2 jab, but with more range, so it's a bit better at being a counter hit tool. It does juggle on counter hit, although unlike normal Magic 4s, you must do one of the strings to juggle. 3+4 is a little slow at I-18, but it's a safe, rangy power mid that will knock down or wall splat, so you'll use this a lot when the match starts to slow down. It also has nearly identical startup to down forward 3, which is a low, so plenty of mix-up opportunity there. Forward 3 is a safe long-range I-17 mid-knee, so it's plenty useful by itself, but forward 3-2-1 is a confirmable counter-hit launcher, and although forward 3-2 is -12, the string options provide cover and offensive pressure. Forward 3-2-1 in particular ends high, so a lot of people will be trying to duck to get the full launch instead of trying to punish forward 3-2. Forward 1+2 is a safe power mid. It wall bounces and has tons of range. Linear and a little slow at I-21 though, but still very useful. Forward 3+4 is a mid power crush, -12 on block, but it does wall splat, which is where it really earns its money. Down forward 1 is a safe I-13 mid, so you can certainly stop there just like with standing 3 since the string options will cover you very well and give back your initiative. Down forward 1-2 is your safe mid-high natural combo option. Be mindful that it does not jail, which we'll discuss more in part 2. And down forward 1-4 is the unsafe mid-mid check. Both can be canceled into more string pressure, which again we'll talk about in the next video. Down forward 3 is a little slow at I-20, but only -12 on block and excellent damage. As we mentioned previously, it has a similar look and speed as 3+4. 3+4 is much safer, so just be careful not to overuse down forward 3 if you're trying to lean heavily on that particular mix-up. Down forward 4 is a safe, rangy I-16 poke. Down forward 4-3 is a chunky natural combo that can knock down and wall splat. The second hit is high and can be ducked, however you can confirm it, so practice that because it's absolutely worth it. Down forward 4-3 slide 3 is mid-mid and +1 on block if you'd rather continue pressure. This is particularly useful against people who are inclined to duck against down forward 4-3, since if down forward 4-3 slide 3 happens to land, you get the same kind of slam as counter hit 1-1. Down 1 is a safe I-18 mid. It leaves you in full crouch, which can be useful if you're trying to run a full crouch game, and it also grounds on counter hit for a free forward 1+2. Down 2 is a safe I-12 high crushing elbow, recovers full crouch, so again you can run a full crouch game from here if you want. It has garbage range, but its main benefit is the speed and inability to be low parried. Given his lack of high crushes, you'll find a lot of use with this against aggressive opponents. Down 4 is an I-14 low poke. It has great range for a low poke, very unsafe at -16, but it's plus 10 on counter hit and does chunky damage for something that fast. The speed is really important since his other lows tend to require some kind of setup or proper timing mix up with other moves, whereas you simply flat out cannot react to down 4. Down 3+4 is Fox mid-high punch reversal. It does launch, but will only do so if it actually reverses something. Otherwise, it's a high that's -13 on block, +1 on hit. Again, Fox is low on high crushes, so if your opponent is being aggressive with punches, especially normal jabs, this is very helpful. Down back 4 is your main power low. It does chunky damage, but it's also +5 on hit, so it's his only neutral low poke tool that gives advantage on normal hit. A little slow at I-21, but it looks similar to many other moves with similar speed, mainly because of how he over accentuates his movements on so many of his moves. So just like down 4-3, be sure to properly mix in other similar speed mids. Back 3 is a quick, safe homing move. It knocks down and wall splats and has crazy range. Its only real weakness is that it's a high. Up forward 1 is Fox Orbital. It's a safe mid elbow launcher, very slow at I-28, but it low crushes, and because it's an elbow, it will beat a lot of reversals. New to Season 4, Up Forward 2 is a safe splatting power crush, decently fast at I-18, but it is a high. With so few high crushes, you may actually end up leaning on this against aggressive opponents more than you think. Fox has no hop kick, so Up Forward 3 and Up Forward 4 along with Up Forward 1 are what you have to work with. Both of these are safe and will wall splat. Up Forward 3 is mid, so it has a bit more utility in that respect, but while Up Forward 4 is a high, it has absolutely stupid good range. Both can be useful in select situations. Forward 3 is a long range wall splatting mid that's +5 on block, slow and linear, but still very good as an approach tool. Forward 4 is a long-range splatting homing power mid, -13 but lots of pushback, so it can be mostly safe with proper spacing. You can also cancel it into a safe mid, forward 4 slide 1, or his knockdown low sweep, which is forward 4 slide 3-2. Back forward 4 is an I-18 high launcher, great range and +6 on block. This is insanely good, so use this a lot with a good mix of his mids. Running 3 is a running knee that's +9 to +14 on block, very similar to a generic running 3 in that it low crushes and will wall splat or knock down, but being a knee is always helpful, so it's still exceptionally good. Fahkumram has a pretty simple full crouch game, so we can kind of address all of those options quickly at once. Full crouch down 4-3-2 is your risky but rewarding knockdown low threat. It can actually wall splat at certain ranges. Wall standing 4 is your safe mid option, and in Fox's case, he's in that upper tier in terms of damage with his wall standing 4. Wall standing 1-2 is your mid high option, so it can be ducked, but good against the wall since it can splat. And then finally, wall standing 3 is your mid launch, -13 on block, similar to a hop kick, and it's a knee. So his first rage drive is an I-15 mid knee. It's +1 on block and will do 50 damage if it hits in the neutral. As such, it's a good neutral tool, but also works well for wall combos. His other rage drive is a low-high launcher. It has several variants because you can't do this from neutral but have to go into one of his strings to get to it. Thankfully, there's no practical difference between the variants. It's -12 on block and the low forces a high block, so you don't have to worry about it getting ducked if they block the low. And the juggle it gives isn't that great without a wall, but the more important element is that it provides a full launch low option on strings, some of which have no other low option at all. So when it gets down to clutch time, now all of a sudden he has a low launcher from all that string pressure. And that will bring us to a close for part 1. Hopefully this gives you a quick overview of the moves you should be focusing on, at least at first. Again, we'll be talking about basic game plan elements in part 2, so keep an eye out for that. And with that, thank you for checking out this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe here on YouTube. Also be sure to turn on notifications if you'd like to get alerted as soon as a new vid is uploaded. I also try to stream whenever I can, so the link to Twitch is down in the video description below. You will find Twitter and Facebook links down there too. Lastly, consideration for the Patreon is greatly appreciated. Patreon is definitely the best way to support your favorite content creators, and the more support the channel gets, the more time I can devote to it and the more videos I can do. As usual, big thanks to our 3 patrons, Tato, Apples, and Overhaul. That support means a lot. Stay safe everyone, and we'll see you next time.